Prime Minister Carney. I still really struggle saying Prime Minister Carney. I'd just rather say, hey, Mark, the head of the Liberal Party, decided to, what did he do on Sunday? Well, of course, he announced that there's going to be an election, and a snap election at that. So he turned around and said he's asked the Governor General to dissolve Parliament and call a federal election for April the 28th. Part of his statement, though, was very interesting. When he turned around and said, we need to build the strongest economy in the G7. Gee, Mark, for the last 10 years, you've done everything to wind that down. We need to deal with President Trump tariffs. I don't know if anybody caught the clip, but Trump's still waffling on that for April 2nd, just to keep that in mind. And Canadians deserve a choice about who should lead the effort of our country. Yes, Mark, we should. We need a choice, because we haven't had a choice in the last 10 years. We've had nothing but a corrupt government. And by the way, Mark, how did you get into power so you can now turn around and dissolve the government? Oh, that's right. You were turned around and made the leader of the Liberal Party, even though nobody wanted you to be the PM. So maybe you could be the shortest PM in history. Hopefully that's the case. So that's coming up April the 28th. But it's interesting because there's so much more to unwind. There's fake news. I mean, everybody should know there's fake news. And some of you may turn around and watch social media, and some of the people like on Twitter /X or Instagram, YouTube, places like this, and sit there and say, oh yeah, but that's all false. Everybody's reporting false stuff. Okay, fair enough. But do you really believe CTV and CBC? I mean, heck, you know what? The Canadian Broadcast Corporation, it's owned by the government. You don't think that they're going to sit there and flip the narrative towards them? Because here's the narrative. Liberals widen lead over Conservatives as nearly half of Canadians expect their victory. Now, look at these outstanding citizens that want to be the PM of Canada. I mean, come on. Like, really, this is what we have to select from? Is this how bad our gene pool is when it comes down to looking for a Prime Minister of Canada? And before anybody, jumps up and down and starts telling me how a Prime Minister gets elected, look, it's going to end up being a very small race. Let's be honest, because there's only so many MPs that can get elected in Canada, and there's only so many parties that have MPs in certain ridings. So let's drill it down for a second and let's take a look at what the race truly looks like. And that's right, you've got your three people that are running. Of course, we know the first two and the last one's Jagmeet Singh. But you know what? I don't even count him right now. There is no way this guy will ever be Prime Minister of Canada. And I don't care if he wants to turn around and get his little boxing gloves up when he does his commercials and says, oh, I'm going to fight for Canada. Give me a break, Jag. You were only fighting for your pension, which you got. So you know what? Bye-bye. Hey, go back to, your native country. Oh, that's right. Can't do that. Hey, why don't you whip down to the U.S.? Oh, you can't do that either. So how, if you were going to be Prime Minister of Canada, do you actually think you could travel around the world representing Canada? So let's say there's only a two-horse race. And you know what? There's something about the U.S., the way they run it. I like the idea of having two parties. It makes it a lot easier, decision A or B. Right now, though, this, media is sitting there saying, it's the Liberals. Yeah, they're going to win. Really? Well, before we go down that road, let's think about what Carney has done and who he's got working with him and what he did with his party. He basically wants the same people that have been in power for the last 9 years to form his next government. As a Canadian, ask yourself this. Are we better off 9 years later after the government, the Liberal Party governing Canada? As a Canadian, do you feel better 9 years later? I got to tell you, I'm pretty damn sore. You know what? I feel like we are beaten up as a country. And there's only one way that happened, and that's through the governing body of the Liberals. And at this point, could we stand another 4 years? I don't think so. There's no way Canada can withstand 4 years of a Liberal government, and especially under the leadership of Mark Carney. I mean, there's a reason why he's got more nicknames than a school gym locker room, okay? Because the truth is, this guy truly is as evil as he looks. Everybody wants to call him Munster, Dracula, everything, He looks like Mr. Burns from The Simpsons, all sorts of, analogies, but the truth is the guy is a wrecking machine when it comes down to, politics. He doesn't have a clue. He's not looking out for us. But there's a couple of things that you would think that if you are going to start an election, why not work on the one coast and work your way across? So what did he do? Of course, he goes out to the East Coast and he turned around and locked out the fishermen that were there. And, some people say, unruly fishermen with protests. What are they going to do? Beat you to death with a cod? No, the truth is that they were sitting there and they wanted to talk to Carney about the China tariffs. Oh, that's right, everybody. Ding, ding, ding. China put a ton of tariffs on Canada, and especially our seafood, because we ship a lot over to China. And so the fishermen wanted to have a chance to talk to the Liberal now candidate. And I know a lot of people sit there and say, yeah, but it's got to be the party that gets elected to be the prime minister. Forget it. Okay, everybody. There's two people really vying for Prime Minister of Canada, and Mr. Carney here brought the police in so he could have protection, without getting the, beaten by a cod kind of attitude. Again, just one more step to a guy that will not accept any negativity from the press. Okay? If you've watched any of his interviews, it's unbelievable. And he's got a really, really short fuse. So for us, you know what? We got to take a look at some of the things that he does do. I mean, let's take a look at his clip.
Bonjour, Monsieur Carney, c'est Fanny Olivier de Radio-Canada. Le chef conservateur Pierre Poilievre vous met au défi de participer au face-à-face de TVA. Est-ce que vous allez le faire?
Pourquoi pas?
Pourquoi pas?
Oui, pourquoi pas, oui. Il y aura...
Okay, look, we know French isn't his language. I mean, with his 3 passports, France isn't one of them. But truth be told, I mean, the guy is constantly mocking people. I mean, we've got, hours of clips of the guy not saying the right things to reporters. And ultimately, why not have a French debate? Believe it or not, everybody in Canada wants to see this guy debate some of the other leaders that are trying to vie for that position. So again, Carney is constantly trying to dodge bullets. In fact, there's probably one that I would say that Mr. Carney wants a bullet, and it's a big bullet that Mr. Carney wants to dodge altogether. Let's hear what he has to say about President Trump.
Thank you, Steve. Sir, did you say that President Trump is waiting to talk to the Prime Minister of whoever wins this election?
Well, that's an interpretation, but I think it's a reasonable interpretation. I'm available for a call, but, we're going to talk on our terms as a sovereign country, not as what he pretends we are, and on a comprehensive deal.
Wow. It's amazing how a guy who was named prime minister because he won leadership, Trudeau stepped down, the whole dog and pony show, and he still hasn't addressed the issue that we have facing us. Now, the funny thing about what's going to happen is that the Liberals are going to get the wind sucked out of them because, Trump is playing with the tariffs as a way to get people to negotiate and work better deals. Carney has no idea how to deal with somebody like President Trump. And, one of the things I want to ask everybody is that I would love you to tell me who you think is going to win April the 28th. Is it going to be Carney or is it going to be Pierre? You know what? This is the important thing. Who do you think is going to win? One of the things I'm going to keep saying is if Carney wins, we've already had 9 years, almost 10 years of a destructive government. He's running with the same people. Do we need another 4 years of that? The narrative, and one of the things that Carney continues to tell Canadians is that we're in a bad economic position because of Trump. Trump is only basically 2 months into his presidency and has not put tariffs in place that are going to destroy the Canadian economy. The idea of Hudson Bay going down, that's years in the making. The fact that we have excess debt, that's liberals in the making. The problem that we have, housing issues, liberals. Everything that he is sitting there blaming now on the U.S. as a narrative, it's time to wake up, Canada. It's time to vote and get the Liberal Party out. Now, I know not everybody's going to agree with the Conservatives, but the one thing I hope everybody does agree on is that we don't need another Liberal government. They'll destroy Canada. As I wrap this up, we've got to keep our eyes on what's really important. To take care of your family, take care of your fellow Canadians, your friends, your family, your children, and the next generation. One of the most important things. But I want to know, who do you think is going to win this election? Thanks for tuning in. I'm Todd C. Slater.